Hey friends, today I want to discuss something important, something that is a product of observation, of watching how governments evolve, how they struggle, and how they try to modernize themselves in ways that look impressive but rarely solve the real issues underneath. I'm talking about initiatives like DOGE, not the meme coin, but those Department of Government efficiency type reforms that are launched with huge fanfare, massive hope, and promises of a clean, modern, no nonsense government. The intention behind DOGE was noble, even novel. It came from a genuine desire to fix a long standing problem: slow, bloated, multi layered bureaucracy. Everyone has experienced the frustration. Files moving at the pace of glaciers, departments passing responsibility like a hot potato, and processes that feel older than the people running them. So naturally, a reform that promised speed, transparency, and simplicity sounded like a breath of fresh air. But the execution? That's where the whole thing began to fall apart. Governments often treat bureaucracy like a software issue, as if you can just optimize it, remove a few features, build a new app, or rename a few offices, and suddenly everything will run faster. But bureaucracy is not a glitch in the system. It is the system. It's the accumulated weight of decades of patches, workarounds, crises, reforms, scandals, and political compromises. It's basically a spine bent under the load of its own responsibilities, and the pain doesn't go away just because you plaster a new sticker on the folder. Most bureaucracies operate like layers of band-aids stacked on top of each other. Something breaks, a new rule is added. A process goes wrong, a new committee is created. A scam happens, a new compliance checkpoint appears. Over time, you get a giant machine that moves slowly, not because people are lazy, but because the system is overloaded by its own history. Now imagine having a bad back because you carry too much weight every single day. And instead of reducing the load or fixing the posture, the solution becomes, let's add more band-aids. That's exactly how governance tries to solve efficiency problems. DOGE type reforms end up attacking the wrong part of the problem. Instead of dividing the load, decentralizing responsibilities, or conducting frequent audits to identify what's working and what isn't, they focus on the cosmetic layer: dashboards, slogans, restructuring charts, branding, and apps. But removing unnecessary features doesn't make a government efficient. Removing unnecessary friction points does. Let's document the failings of initiatives like DOGE and why they collapse under their own ambition. First, they're launched like political festivals. Huge hype, dramatic announcements, fancy taglines like zero delay governance and paperless revolution. People get excited, thinking this will be the big fix. But on the ground, the old processes remain the same. Approvals still crawl, accountability still gets diffused, risk-averse culture still rules. What changes is only the wallpaper. Second, the department created to eliminate bureaucracy ironically becomes a graveyard of government jobs. More staff gets added to monitor efficiency, evaluate compliance, handle reporting, and manage the very system meant to reduce workload. Instead of reducing size, DOGE ends up expanding it. It becomes an employment zone for surplus personnel, not a strategic reform engine. Third, these reforms assume that centralization equals efficiency. Actually, centralization usually slows things down. When everything goes through one expert department, bottlenecks explode. It's like forcing all traffic through a single lane and calling it order. The real fix is distributing authority across smaller, specialized teams, each handling a part of the load, and then auditing them frequently. That's what gives real efficiency. Fourth, the hype around DOGE distracts from real reforms. Recruitment cycles remain slow, training remains outdated, rules remain archaic, processes remain dependent on signatures instead of outcomes. Tech gets added, but culture stays the same. It becomes a shiny new casing wrapped around an aging engine. Fifth, bureaucracy has a talent for absorbing reforms. It digests them and turns them into more bureaucracy. A new reporting tool becomes a new ritual. A new portal becomes another place where files get stuck. A new verification step becomes the new excuse for delays. Without cultural and structural transformation, DOGE becomes yet another layer added to the pile. Now compare this with countries like New Zealand, often praised for its light, flexible governance style. Its system behaves much closer to an adhocracy, a structure that prioritizes adaptation over hierarchy. Instead of dense layers of approvals, New Zealand runs on empowered teams, shorter decision chains, and smaller agencies with clearly defined responsibilities. Collaboration replaces hierarchy. Outcomes replace paperwork. Trust replaces paranoia. New Zealand's governance shows that efficiency isn't built by adding new departments, it's built by removing unnecessary ones. It's built by trusting professionals, decentralizing decisions, and using audits to check progress rather than using approvals to block it. It's about designing a government that can behave like a startup when required, responding quickly without getting tangled in its own past. If initiatives like DOGE want to truly succeed, they need to stop behaving like cosmetic tech upgrades and start behaving like structural reforms. They need to rethink the entire posture of governance, not just its interface. That means dividing responsibility instead of concentrating it, reducing load instead of pretending load doesn't exist, empowering teams instead of creating new hierarchies, auditing frequently instead of waiting for disasters, removing friction, not features. In the end, bureaucracy is just a symptom of burden, and burden cannot be deleted, it has to be distributed. DOGE had a noble intention, but noble intentions don't fix structural problems. Real change comes from redesigning the foundation, not repainting the walls. Until governments embrace that philosophy, every new efficiency department will slowly turn into the very thing it was created to destroy.